Nice thing about that.
Stand by.
Okay, we're having a quiet conversation back here. Now we're looking at Nigerian Economic Summit, the 21st edition. Nigeria has a population, an estimated population of about over 170 million. Now, according to the World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness Report 2014 to 2015, Nigeria's continue to drop downwards and falls by 7 places to 127 out of 144. What are the indices they use to judge it? Weakened public finances as a result of lower oil exports, weakened institutions, 129th, with insufficiently protected property rights, high corruption and undue influence, dire security situation, 139th out of 144. Whoa. Weak infrastructure, 134 out of 144. Poor outcomes in health and primary education, 143 out of 144.
Oh dear, second to the last.
It goes on and on. Permit me not to go further, but we want to look at what the Economic Summit, the 21st edition, what it's all about. The last year's edition focused on education. What's this year's own focus? And we have three panelists here. Mr. Kiari Booker is the Nigerian Economic Summit Group Chairman. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Mr. Lanre Akimbo is the Technical Committee Chairman, NES 21. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Wonu Adetayo is a member of the Economic Summit Group. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. I have questions outlined here. I'll take it up with you because you heard me say I was going to deal with someone. NES 19 was about agriculture. NES 20 was about education. What informed the choice of this year's theme? Tough choices, achieving competitiveness, inclusive growth, and sustainability.
Well, the government of the moment is not in a particularly enviable position. They have tough choices to make. First, the resources have dwindled by virtue of the fact that we're heavily oil dependent for our revenues. And if the oil prices have plummeted from about $110 last year, January, to just about $49 now, there's no doubt about it that the revenue has shrunk. Secondly, we have serious rising inflation. We have unemployment. And yet we have a population that is looking to this government and saying that for once, perhaps there will be alleviation. So first, there's no resource to provide any alleviation. Even when there was growth, it was not an inclusive growth. Infrastructure deficits, where is the fund to look after all of this? So tough choices have to be made. And that's the reason why we feel that the summit needed an engagement on these tough choices to chart a roadmap such that even in the process of making these tough choices, Nigeria still becomes better in terms of competitiveness. Nigeria still becomes better in terms of growth being inclusive so that the common man is not just hearing numbers that the economy is growing by so and so, but there's no difference to his own lifestyle. There's no difference to his own standard of living. And so we believe that if there is an appropriate engagement with the private sector, the public sector, the common man, the businessman, we can chart a way forward in the midst of these tough choices that Nigeria still gets the better for it.
Okay, Mr. Kiari, I do know that about the time that you were in CSCS, you're still in CSCS?
Still in CSCS.
Okay,
right.
About the time the CSCS was set up, there was this talk around town about multiple streams of income. So Nigerians were buying shares, trying to create other sources of income. But it looks like the nation got stuck with one. So now tough choices. The president is expected to be at that summit. What is expected of government?
The expectations, or what is expected of government, is quite simple. It's tough choices, but the simplicity is in what you have just laid out as an analogy, which is that a single stream of income for an entity, whether it's a business or for a corporate entity like a nation, can become problematic in that that single source of income may become a very high risk factor. And what do? You need to diversify. In the case of national economies, competitiveness become a major yardstick to measure the outcomes of a country. How do I say that? If we are 129th or 139th in some of those indices, we need to pay attention to it to bring it up. How? Education, small and medium enterprises empowerment. The inclusivity in terms of growth means that the common person must feel the growth factor that has happened. Unfortunately for us, we had a decade of 7% growth, literally doubling the economy within a period of 7 years. And that's why we have the largest economy in Africa today. But if you go down and survey, a teacher, a farmer, see whether they have been impacted by those economic growth, chances are that you would hear resounding negative responses. And so government has to do something about it. And that's why we have this dialogue. And the dialogue would basically be steering out, rather, pulling out the necessary ingredients for us to have inclusive growth.
Now, let me just stay with you, Mr. Kyari. This is the 21st summit. One would expect that you have been advising government after each of those summits. Is it that government hasn't been listening to you? Is that why we're in this pass?
The Nigerian Economic Summit Group has made some landmark recommendations. I mean, right from the very first one. The idea behind privatizations, whether it is the telecoms industry or even the most recent, which is the power sector privatizations. These are recommendations that actually came out of the discourses that we've had with the public sector. The private sector has recommendations which end up, at least in the last 3 or 4 summits, that actually ended up becoming papers that go into the Federal Executive Council and get those policies implemented. Now, one of the things about an advocacy group is that you can make recommendations, but do you have the influence to carry on and fix or execute those recommendations? And so one of the things we as an organization are trying to do is to use what I call fact or evidence-based policy formulation. And therefore, it's incontrovertible. If you do this, this is going to be the outcome. And you also show examples from other nations. And if those are going to be clear, then the rest is that the political will must be there for government to implement those.
Yeah.
And if I may add to that, really, we've also instituted what we call policy commissions within the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. So we have 10 policy commissions to look at the various sectors of the economy so that they partner with government on an ongoing basis after the summit itself to assist and partner with government in ensuring that implementation takes place. Okay. Right now, of course, there's a huge gap between the knowing and the doing, which is the political will. Okay. But at least we have set up a structure to partner with government to move that forward.
Mr. Kimba, the common man on the street is listening and is watching, and NESG Economic Summit Group, okay, they're going to take care of all our economic problems. That's what he thinks. Yeah. Now, why should he be excited that you're talking about tough choices? Is he supposed to be optimistic that after the meeting things are going to happen that will affect, for instance, his take-home pay, and that he will be able easier to put food on his table?
Well, thank you. First is, we're all stakeholders in Nigeria. We are going to be the ones to fashion the way forward for our country. The summit provides a platform to engage with the highest level of political leadership in Nigeria, with the highest level of business leadership, with civil society organizations. Essentially, everybody's at the table. And if you have to be a part of the solution, you have to be at that platform. You also have to be at the table. So the point is that, and if you look at the history of the summit, we can point to not one, not two, several initiatives that have been canvassed using the platform of the summit. And we can see that these things have been implemented. Now, sometimes there's a lag effect. You know, some policies we started to discuss maybe 2 summits ago, you begin to see them, you know, coming to fruition, you know, several months, several years down the line. But the point is, we must keep the engagement going. We have a seat at the table. That's what the platform that the summit provides. You get a chance to air your views, and so that's really what that's the opportunity that it provides to the.
Are you implying that the man on the street
is invited?
Is going to have a seat at the table?
Yes, definitely.
One of the things you need to understand is that the conversation is Nigeria. The conversation is Nigeria's economy. The conversation, therefore, means that every citizen must be part of that conversation. You may like or not like what you are hearing, but as part of the national discourse, the average person must be represented by either the civil society organization, by the private entities, and the public sector. So, therefore, it becomes a thing of interest for the common person to actually tune in and be part of the conversation.
I was about to ask you how the common man who is watching now can come and sit at the table and discuss and say his own opinions at the summit.
So for example,
whether you're seated at the table or not, I think, you see, first of all, the outcomes are going to affect the common man. You know, so this whole idea of